Through a curious reversal of custom, it was Ursula who got the idea out of his head, as it was also she who forgot her ancient bitterness and decided Malcades would stay on in the house, though she never permitted them to make a daguerreotype of her because, according to her very words, she did not want to survive as a laughingstock for her grandchildren. That morning she dressed the children in their best clothes, powdered their faces, and gave a spoonful of marrow syrup to each one, so that they would all remain absolutely motionless during the nearly 2 minutes in front of Malcades' fantastic camera. In the family daguerreotype, the only one that had ever existed, Aureliano appeared dressed in black velvet between Amaranta and Rebecca. He had the same languor and the same clairvoyant look that he would have years later as he faced the firing squad, but he had not sensed the premonition of his fate. He, Aureliano, was an expert silversmith praised by all the swampland for the delicacy of his work. In the workshop, which he shared with Malcades' mad laboratory, he could barely be heard breathing, while his father and the gypsy with shouts interpreted the predictions of Nostradamus amidst a noise of flasks and trays and the disaster of spilled acids and silver bromide that was lost in the twists and turns it gave at every instant. That dedication to his work, the good judgment with which he directed his attention, had allowed Aureliano to earn in a short time more money than Ursula had with her delicious candy fauna. But everybody thought it was strange that he was now a full-grown man and had not known a woman. It was true that he had never had one. Several months later saw the return of Francisco de Man, an ancient vagabond who was almost 200 years old and who had frequently passed through Macondo, distributing songs that he composed himself. In them, Francisco de Man told in great detail the things that had happened in towns along his route, from Maneur to the edge of the swamp, so that if anyone had a message to send or an event to make public, he would pay them 2 cents to include it in his repertory. That was how Ursula learned of the death of her mother, as a simple consequence of listening to the songs and hoped that they would say something about her son, Jose Ocario. Francisco the Man called that because he had once defeated the devil in a duel of improvisation, and those whose real name no one knew disappeared from Macondo during the insomnia plague, and one night he appeared suddenly in Catarino's store. The whole town went to listen to him to find out what had happened in the world.
Aureliano listened to the news to the end without hearing anything that was of interest to his family. He was getting ready to go home when the matron signaled him with her hand. "You go into," she told him. "It only costs 20 cents." Aureliano threw a coin into the hopper that the matron had in her lap, and went into the room without knowing why. When the girl in the room finished fixing up the bed and told him to get undressed, he gave her a confused explanation. "They made me come in. They told me to throw 20 cents into the hopper and hurry up." The girl understood his confusion. "If you throw in 20 cents more when you go out, you can stay a little longer," she said softly. Aureliano got undressed, tormented by shame, when the matron knocked on the door a second time. Aureliano left the room without having done anything, troubled by a desire to weep. That night he could not sleep, thinking about the girl, with a mixture of desire and pity. He felt an irresistible need to love her and protect her. At dawn, worn out by insomnia and fever, he made the decision to marry her in order to free her. But at 10 o'clock in the morning, when he had reached Caterino's store, the girl had left town. Time mitigated his mad proposal, but it aggravated his feelings of frustration. He took refuge in work. He resigned himself to being a womanless man for all his life in order to hide the shame of his uselessness.
In the meantime, Melquiades had printed on his plates everything that was printable in Macondo, and he left the daguerreotype laboratory to the fantasies of Jose Arcadio Buendia, who had resolved to use it to obtain scientific proof of the existence of God. Through a complicated process of superimposed exposures taken in different parts of the house, he was sure that sooner or later he would get a daguerreotype of God if he existed, or put an end once and for all to this supposition of his existence. Melquiades got deeper into his interpretations of Nostradamus. He would stay up until very late, suffocating in his faded velvet vest, scribbling with his tiny sparrow hands, whose rings had lost the glow of former times. One night, he had found the prediction of the future of Macondo. It was to be a luminous city with great glass houses where there was no trace remaining of the race of the Buendia. It's a mistake, Jose Arcadio Buendia dundered. There won't be houses of glass, but of ice, as I dreamed, and there will always be a Buendia, per omnia secula seculorum. Ursula fought to preserve common sense in that extravagant house, having broadened her business of little candy animals with an oven that went all night, turning out baskets and more baskets of bread in a prodigious variety of pudding, meringues, and cookies, which disappeared in a few hours on the roads winding through the swamp. She had reached an age where she had a right to rest, but she was nonetheless more and more active. So busy was she in her prosperous enterprises that one afternoon she looked distractedly towards the courtyard while the Indian woman helped her sweeten the dough, and she saw two unknown and beautiful adolescent girls doing frame embroidery in the light of the sunset. They were Rebecca and Amaranta. As soon as they had taken off the mourning clothes for their grandmother, which they wore with inflexible rigor for 3 years, their bright clothes seemed to give them a new place in the world.